it is. Y'all know what it is. Welcome to another episode of I Got Five. Let's talk. It's me, your host, the man behind the voice to keep your bitch moist, Pharaoh the God, always on the job. And it's that time again to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell another friend. Share, like, and subscribe. Get it right and keep it tight. Support the channel, support your boy, and above all, man, support the movement. Yes, indeed. Y'all know it is today, man, the day before the King Parade here in Los Angeles. So I felt it was only right to talk about Dr. Martin Luther King. And here on this podcast, we be all over the board. You know, I got five, let's talk. This podcast is based on dialogue, based on information, based on educational purposes. This ain't no podcast just to be stirring shit up. This is a podcast where we try to find a common ground to things that we can learn from and in some ways exploit them for the knowledge of seeing another person do what's wrong. And see where they went wrong and see where we could go right at. Again, tomorrow is the parade for Dr. Martin Luther King here in Los Angeles. And there should be a lot around the world, I think. So who is Dr. Martin Luther King? What was he about? We know he stood for nonviolence. We know he was a Christian. We know he was a pastor. We know he was killed, assassinated, smothered. Some people don't even know that he survived the assassination at the hotel, but he succumbed to another assassination in the hospital. And today, we gonna dive into that. We gonna get into that. We gonna talk about a lot of things. We even gonna bring up Malcolm X, who was pitched against him as his rival in the early days. So today, we gonna take a ride. And we gonna see how people really react and explain my assessment of how I feel about Dr. Martin Luther King and some of the things we're going to play today on the show. But before we get into that, I want to start off with playing how Malcolm X, one of his outspoken critics, what did he say about him?
In this country have been the victims of violence at the hands of the white man for 400 years. And following the ignorant Negro preachers, we have thought that it was godlike to turn the other cheek to the brute that was brutalizing us. And today, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is showing black people in this country that just as the white man and every other person on this earth has God-given rights, natural rights, civil rights, any kind of rights that you can think of when it comes to defending himself, black people we should have the right to defend ourselves also. And because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad makes black people brave enough, men enough to defend ourselves no matter what the odds are, the white man runs around here with the doctrine that Mr. Muhammad is advocating violence when he's actually telling Negroes to defend themselves against violent people.
I see. Well, Reverend Martin Luther King preaches a doctrine of nonviolent insistence upon the rights of the American Negro. What is your attitude toward this philosophy?
The white man pays Reverend Martin Luther King, subsidizes Reverend Martin Luther King, so that Reverend Martin Luther King can continue to teach the Negroes to be defenseless. That's what you mean by nonviolent. Be defenseless. Be defenseless in the face of one of the most cruel beasts that has ever taken the people into captivity. That's just the American white man. And they have proved it throughout the country by the police dogs and the police clubs. 100 years ago, they used to put on a white sheet and use a bloodhound against Negroes. Today, they've taken off the white sheet and put on police uniforms. They've traded in the bloodhounds for police dogs, and they're still doing the same thing. And just as Uncle Tom, back during slavery, used to keep the Negroes from resisting the Bloodhound or resisting the Ku Klux Klan by teaching them to love their enemy or pray for those who use them despitefully. Today, Martin Luther King is just a 20th century or modern Uncle Tom or a religious Uncle Tom who is doing the same thing today to keep Negroes defenseless in the face of attack that Uncle Tom did on the plantation to keep those Negroes defenseless in the face of the attack of the Klan in that day.
But the goal of Dr. King is full equality and full rights of citizenship for Negroes.
The goal of Dr. Martin Luther King is to give Negroes a chance to sit in a segregated restaurant beside the same white man who had brutalized them for 400 years. The goal of Dr. Martin Luther King is to get Negroes to forgive the people who have brutalized them for 400 years by lulling them to sleep and making them forgetting what those whites have done to them. But the masses of black people in America today don't go for what Martin Luther King is putting down. As you said in one of your articles, it's psychologically insecure or something of that sort. I forget how you put it. But you didn't endorse what Martin Luther King was doing yourself.
I do not reject his goals of full integration and full equality rights for American citizens. Do you reject these
If you
goals?
don't think that he's walking on the right road, I'm quite sure you don't agree that he'll get to the right place. And if you would classify his method as psychologically unrealistic, I think that if a man's method is psychologically unrealistic, which means the road or the means or the method that he's using, I think as a psychologist, you'd be very doubtful that he would reach the right goal.
There is one correction, Mr. Malcolm, I'd like to make here. In that same piece that you're quoting from, I said that his methods are effective. His philosophy of love, of the oppressor, I thought, was psychologically burdensome. It has been.
Now, what you just heard right there was Malcolm X on how he felt. And that was from C Black. Oh, wait, let me see. Yes, that's from C Black, C Power. Malcolm X on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, what he was saying was, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King wasn't Uncle Tom. He was trying to keep the slaves in check. He, at all costs, did not agree with anything that Martin Luther King Jr. was doing. He didn't. Now, was he right about how he felt about Dr. Martin Luther King? It could be. It could be because people that were close to Dr. Martin Luther King shared some things. I don't want to spoil it, but they said some things that just didn't, that showed how Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was being used.
Being friendly and being a friend, I think, are two different. Mr. Baldwin said that there could no longer be a Republican Party for the Negro people as long as it listed a Barry Goldwater, nor a Democratic Party for the Negro people with a Senator Eastland on its roster. Being friendly and being a friend, I think, are two different things. I think there are many whites who act friendly toward Negroes. A fox acts friendly toward the lamb. And usually the fox is the one who ends up with the lamb chop on his plate.
Oh, my bad.
Mr. Baldwin said that there could no longer be a Republican Party for the Negro people as long as it listed a Barry Goldwater, nor a Democratic Party for the Negro people with a Senator Eastland on its roster. He asserted that the federal government acted swiftly and energetically, that unless the federal government acted swiftly and energetically, future slaughter would make Birmingham look like a dress rehearsal. And now, what do I think about King's attitude? King's right-hand man, Wyatt Walker, at King's convention, according to the New York Times on September the 26th, said, quote, we have been duped, meaning these persons involved in the civil rights struggle, of which King is the symbolic leader. His right-hand man says, and I quote, we have been duped, or have duped ourselves. into believing that the chains have been broken, when in truth we have only been chained more securely. Half freedom has in many instances, Mr. Baldwin.
Now, Malcolm pointed out about Wyatt Walker and about them being duped. Who is Wyatt Walker? He was the key strategist and chief of staff to Martin Luther King Jr., organizer, historian, and later critic of how Martin Luther King was sanitized. He was not a government apologist. He became more radical over time. This was the chief of staff that was in creation of the SCLC for Dr. Martin Luther King, that was responsible for putting out his letters from Birmingham when he was in jail. This was a man that was sitting right next to Dr. Martin Luther King during everything. He had a first row seat. They asked, what was he meant by saying duped? Some say it was just Martin Luther King just being reduced to, I have a dream. You know, his attacks on capitalism was forgotten. His attacks on militarism was forgotten. Dr. Martin Luther King's attack on white liberalism. All these things were erased. All these things were erased. And when these things became erased and they started propagating Dr. Martin Luther King just on the nonviolent approach, Wyatt Walker, his right-hand staff, said, we've been duped. If we do this and we do that, we gonna get to the promised road. We've done everything they've asked. We marched, we walked, we sit in, we sat out, we boycotted, we forced our way in. But yet we were duped. Walker believed America were duped into celebrating Martin Luther King as a myth, how can I say, mythical image type, you know, just putting him up there. But we fail to realize, though, what was he actually fighting for? What was lost? What did we lose in Dr. King's message that they refused to tell us about? His attack on capitalism. His attack on the government militarism. Military world, military governments. His attack on white liberalism. If it's white liberalism, it has to only deal with whites. When whites have everything, when whites have the majority of wealth, what is the need for white liberalism? These are the things Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., may Allah be pleased with him, these are the things he fought against. A revolutionary or a coon. The thing that sets Martin Luther King Jr. apart from Malcolm X, the only difference is the nonviolent approach. I don't think it was the religion of King being a Christian or a Baptist. I don't think it was really that, because Malcolm has said, we need to leave our religion at home. So I just think it was Malcolm's verbal banter on King's nonviolent approach. But if he had a nonviolent approach, does that make him a non-revolutionary? Does it? Where's that one at?
All right, and now, what do I think about?
What is a revolutionary? One that goes against the government. One that revolutionizes the people. We are so, a revolutionary is just like an army. Everybody can't be on the front line. Everybody can't be on the front line. Some people are scared. They want to support the revolution. They want to, you feel me? They want to be there for the revolution. But was King an actual coon or a revolutionary? People were so afraid to accept what Malcolm X was telling them. This is why Martin Luther King's right-hand man, Wyatt Walker, said that they've been duped. Because Malcolm, who was, according to the media, spreading and preaching hate, none of that happened to them. Water hose wasn't turned on them. They couldn't do that to them. Why? Because they didn't want to integrate. They wanted separation. And Malcolm X was telling people that you cannot be nice to these people. You cannot ask them to integrate. They will never allow you to. So then when Malcolm speaks, the white man gets up there and says, man, Malcolm is lying. And then you turn on the evening news and you see black people getting bit by dogs, hit with billy clubs, water hoses from the fire trucks turned on them. That is exactly what Malcolm was saying that they would do, talking about their behavior. Martin Luther King did something that Malcolm X could never do. And that's expose the white man's actions against black people in America. No revolutionary black nationalist has ever exposed white violence. Not the Black Panther Party, not the Nation of Islam, not Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey. Nobody but Dr. Martin Luther King. Why? Because the white man said, be Christian. Dr. Martin Luther King was Christian. They said, be peaceful. He was nonviolent. They said, march and walk and show the public you're nonviolent. He did all that. What did they do to him? They beat the shit out of him. By doing everything that they said do, be Christian, be nonviolent, listen to what we say, you are equal with us, but you can't sit with us, you can't eat at us. He exposed the white man's actions and behavior more cruel and more worse than Malcolm or anyone could do. Who is that for?
40-25.
Who? Hold on.
Kamisha?
Oh, Kamisha?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you want to be, I just get to you. Yeah, my bad. I had to give my people their pizza. But like I was saying, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has been stigmatized with being nonviolent. And this is what Wyatt Walker, his chief of staff, was talking about. That he feared that King, his real legacy would be forgotten. His attack on capitalism, militarism, white liberalism, white power, education. These are the same things that the Black Panther Party fought for. They fought against. But the only difference is the approach. Do all revolutionaries have to be violent? Is that what we own? Hey, Bud Russell, man, appreciated in the building. Is that what we own? We done got into this to the space to where we believe that in order to be a revolutionary, you have to be violent. A revolutionary is one who revolts against the norm, the society. Now, in the very thing that Dr. King was seeking, besides his integration, you got to realize the thing that he is propped up for is the thing that the only thing that they recognize that everything he did was integration. This is the only thing that they gave Dr. Martin Luther King. They didn't honor his anti-capitalism, his anti-white liberalism. They didn't honor none of that. He was against going into Vietnam, so that's why he was against militarism. We talking about a man that's been propped up just because of his nonviolence. What was he being nonviolent for? He was not just being nonviolent for integration. We talking about proper education, proper recognition. Who was he fighting for this for? Blacks. So in my opinion, was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. a revolutionary? I believe he was a house nigga that woke up and seen that he had the wrong direction, that he did have the wrong approach. Ain't nothing wrong with being a house nigga waking up you been duped. Ain't nothing wrong with. I said this on the Mexican King Vine episode the other day, right? If I show you a magic trick and you don't know it's a magic trick and I ask you to pay me for it, you don't know it's a magic trick, so you pay me for it. Because you believe that I have some type of gift or special power. But then when you find out that it's a magic trick, are you supposed to get your money back? No. It's there. It's a lesson for you to understand you've been duped. You've been tricked. Now wake up and open your eyes so it won't happen again. And I equated that analogy to gangbanging. Because a lot of people thinking this big mirage about gangbanging, not even know it's a magic trick. A magic trick that you don't gain from. And when you find out it's a magic trick, you're going to be mad. This is the same thing that happened to Martin Luther King Jr. Was he wrong for saying, you know what? Everybody says we're violent people. We're out of slavery. They say we violent. You can't trust us. But let me show y'all can. And then they said, man, it ain't us that's not to be trusted. It's y'all. He finds out it's a magic trick. He's like, damn. It's really like, this is what I found out? Because remember, he said he had a dream, but then he woke up and his dream became a nightmare. Right. Malcolm woke up and he found out Martin Luther King woke up and he found out he'd been played with a magic trick. He got played. But he did his job. He did what Martin Luther King what Malcolm X couldn't do. Everybody loved Malcolm X so bad, right? Oh man, Malcolm X this, Malcolm X that. He told you. But who showed you? People forget that. That gets dropped out of their mind when who showed us how the white man's action is. What the white man action is, reaction is. Who showed us the evil inside of the white man through his brutality? Martin Luther King Jr. did. Not nobody else. Bud Russell says, I'm an older dude. I remember Martin well. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, and to go into this, to Bud Russell, that you say that he was he was brought in. I mean, he was killed on the balcony. He wasn't. He wasn't. You know what I mean? He wasn't killed on the balcony. The assassination attempted on the balcony. But if you read further up into Martin Luther King Jr.'s history, you find out that, you know what I'm saying, he was actually killed in the hospital by some white female nurses and got spat on. He spat, like, they were spat on. Fucking dog need to shut up. That's why I can't stand dogs, dude. That was me. Me. My bad, y'all. I was trying to chill outside. You feel me? This goddamn dog. But, yeah, man. Martin, hold on, man. Bad, y'all, my bad. But yeah, like I was saying, he wasn't assassinated. He got shot. He survived the shot on the hotel balcony. But like I said, he got killed. He was assassinated by getting smothered in the hospital. And you can look that up. That's a part of history that they don't really tell you neither. You feel me? Well, you can actually. I'm gonna go ahead and hold on. Well, they say it don't exist, but that was Chat GPT. You know how they be lying. It says AI overview. It says yes, Dr. King died in a hospital after being rushed there from a balcony where he was shot in Memphis on April 4th, 1968. Though his fatal injury occurred at the scene from the gunshot wound, he was pronounced dead at the hospital. 70. Let me put in this, man. Cause I remember this. I remember this growing up. right here, the Detroit Metro Times says, um, it says a medical personnel worked on King in the emergency room. Dr. Ben Bland, the head of neurosurgery at St. Joseph Hospital in Memphis, entered with two suited men. He is reported to have said, "Stop working on that nigger and let him die. Now get out of here and get out of here, all of you." Pepper says a surgical nurse told him the men then spat on King. Then Bland put a pillow over King's face and smothered him. He was killed in the hospital and the murder was covered up. So, what do you need to be killing a nonviolent person for? What you need to be killing a if this nigga was nonviolent, you feel me? What do we know now? That there's a system out there that wants you to start playing for them, and once you wake up and you find out that they've been using you, or you want to go the other way and play for the other team and have a conscious mind. So you gonna tell me Wyatt Walker says that they've been duped? You tell me that there are stories of Dr. Martin Luther King saying that he woke up and seen that his dream was a nightmare? What dream? That the one where little black boys and little white girls and little white boys all play together? They showed you that from when you was trying to integrate. It ain't got no better. Now, when black people did separate themselves, they got money. Black Wall Street. This is why separation was so profound to other organizations, because they knew what they could accomplish without them. They started with nothing. But just because King wanted integration, does that mean that Dr. Martin Luther King wasn't a revolutionary? Nah, not in my eyes, not in my assessment. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was, in fact, a nonviolent revolutionary. One that woke up and seen that his nonviolent ways is what helped expose and break him away from that. No matter what we do, no matter how many marches we get on, they not gonna fuck with us. Why you think now, when you say, oh man, Black Lives Matter, they gonna say, well, white lives don't matter now? White lives don't matter? This is what Dr. Martin Luther King helped expose. That when you say anything about blackness or black nationalism or black liberalism, they immediately make you feel bad for that. Because in order to be black power, black nationalists, I know from the white person knows you know what we did to Martin Luther King. I know you know what we did to him. Oh, but I still just want you to be nonviolent. Martin Luther King woke up one day and was like, fuck this shit. fuck this. And if you judge a man by the character, where is the over vast majority of the white people that put together legislation in America during the times of Martin Luther King? Now we're talking, Bud Russell, you want to say judge a man off his character. This is where we get in to the explosion of what Malcolm X and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with all their lives. But when they get to talking about that, the character, that's like saying you go to your homie house. You say, hey, bro, check it out, man. You know what I'm saying? You pull up. That nigga like, yeah, man, my mom's sick, or my wife's sick, my dad's sick, whoever. Oh, man, my baby's is sick. You feel me? Let's say he live in a one-bedroom apartment. You don't want to go in this nigga house if people is sick. Why? Because you not trying to get infested. You ain't trying to get sick. So if I don't want to go in to them type of ideas, I must not be trying to get sick. I must not. Let me know what y'all think, man. Y'all know that's that comment button ain't just for one person, man. Y'all go ahead and utilize it. Show some support, indulge in the conversation. Let me know how y'all feel about Martin Luther King Jr. Let me know what y'all think. Was he a revolutionary or was he a coon? Which one? Because this is just my assessments. Yeah, and this is the thing. I'm glad you here, Bud Russell, and I hope you support the channel and hit that subscribe button, man. And I appreciate you staying in here, because it's a lot of white people when I speak like that, they really run. But what I want you to understand though too is you talk about character, right? Now, when you really look back at the Caucasians, man, character all throughout the world and all over the universe, right? I mean, all over the landmass. Their character behavior has not been good. So is it wrong for a man to see a white man and say, whoa, hold on. What's up? What you doing? Stay back. Let me see your hands. Let me see them hands, bro. I don't think it's nothing wrong with it, because I need to know who you are. I don't believe that all white people are bad, because there are actions of some white people that have proven otherwise. You have white people that really marched with Martin Luther King Jr. I'm talking about white as mayonnaise, as you say. But we are talking about their character, their actions. But when we talk about Martin Luther King, we also know that he fought against white liberalism. We know that he fought against capitalism. We know that he fought against militarism. And who are the ones that manipulate these? And I'm not saying you one of them, you one of the bad people. You feel me? That's like some things that people may say about black people that people don't like to agree. You feel me? Oh man, you know what I'm saying? Like I go in the room or something, I'm walking down the street and a lady grab her purse. Man, that's regular. Why is that regular? Because my people have been portrayed as this throughout television, throughout media. So what do? Do I take offense to it? How does my character respond to that? I'ma laugh and keep it pushing. I ain't even gonna look back. In my head, I'm like, I'm gonna be on her mind at the end of the day because she gonna look back and be like, damn, I thought that nigga was gonna steal my purse and he didn't. My character is gonna speak for myself, but when my character and those that make the judicial laws during the times of Martin Luther King, they was evil, my boy. Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement with you. Racism is taught. Racism is taught, man. But when you ask yourself who teaches their children or who, I don't want to say manipulate, but who allows the racism to grow and be passed down through family members? Let's be honest here. I know we're not going to say black people. And this is the problem that I think, because now I'm starting, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you're defending that system. You're defending that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because you're more stuck on because I said white people that you have to, you know what I'm saying? Your character gonna speak for yourself. But by you, I think that by you saying that, it is just like, you know, you I don't know, man. I don't want to say it wrong, and I don't want to get off topic. But, and that's another thing. A lot of people don't want Martin Luther King Jr. to be a revolutionary. They don't want him to. They want him to be the good old pastor down south yonder, from down yonder, walking a million miles. Don't blame me. Blame him. He was against white liberalism. And what was white liberalism against? Black people. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of people have in this country the problem of just being honest. See, until we just be honest about certain shit, it's always gonna be a problem because if I go, like when I used to go on job searches, right? I didn't want to, but I used to have to tell the job searchers before they even hired me, like, hey, bro, I got a felony. You feel me? I ain't want to tell them, but I had to. Why? Because my character showed what type of person I am. You ain't even got to go do no background check. My dude, I'm going to tell you right now, this is what it is. So then, a lot of people ain't fuck with me, found somebody that's gonna fuck with me. And they been rocking with me. I think a lot of people don't want Dr. King to be a revolutionary. And this is why they only push out the non-violent sector of his life. We forget about, his fight against the government, equal opportunity. All we know, oh no, nonviolent, 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 nonviolent. Why, and my question to y'all and to you, Bud Russell, why does Dr. King have to just be nonviolent? Is it just that people love that one side of him? And this is what makes me point that out, because it's like the America only wants Dr. King to be nonviolent. They only want him to be remembered like Wyatt Walker, his chief of staff, said. He feared that they're only going to turn him into now, and this is when he was alive, he said this. They're going to publicize him just as being nonviolent. And everything else that he was against was erased. I mean, you had the Black Panthers going up against the police, and they couldn't win violently. The Nation of Islam doing their thing. But who showed the actions of these people? It ain't my fault it was white versus black Bud Russell. America has to accept that. America, you have to accept that your ancestors and the people that you was around during the 60s and 70s was illustrating and innovating laws that went against the grandkids of the people that you was playing with and the people that you was playing with. This is the harsh reality of America that people want to say, oh man, we know it happened, but we don't want to talk about it. No, we need to talk about it, because we have been duped into believing that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was just a non-violent person. What got him killed? Not nonviolence. What got him spat on and smothered? Not nonviolence. Let's be real here. Stop playing. I had to ask the question because a lot of people nowadays, Bud Russell, and if I offended you by saying that, I definitely apologize. That's me as a human being. Us as human beings, we want to say the right thing to people, but we don't realize that we may have offended somebody. So if I offended you, bro, my apologies. Because what I'm doing is I want us to have a dialogue about Martin Luther King Jr. And in my eyes, he was a revolutionary. So if to some degree I got off of that subject and I offended you, even as me knowing you white, I do apologize to you. You feel me? Because I don't want you, I want you to return. I want us to talk. I want us to have dialogue. I don't want us to offend each other. Offending each other is only going to, lead to violence and no understanding. So, I definitely want you to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell another friend, man. But this podcast, man, we it's very provocative, man. It's very provocative. We got to keep it fair like a California bear, man. And it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the faint-hearted, because even though I apologize, even when I offend somebody, it's not on purpose, but the way I talk is to get my point across. And sometimes it may be a little aggressive. I can assert to that. No, and see, bud, that's what people want. People want you to stop talking. That's like, how do I stop talking? If people, that's like saying, if people just stop talking about accidents, accidents will stop happening. If people would stop talking about babies, they would just stop making babies. That is unrealistic. Why? Because it is in the nature of some of these people. It is in the characteristics of some of these people, black and or white, just to be racist. And we must not forget, a lot of these laws that we are living on today that govern this country were created by people that wanted to keep the black people enslaved or under their power to some degree. Let's be real here. Can't just be like, oh no, I don't think that's the truth. That's just like saying, oh man, I know them people over there do whatever I don't agree with, but I just ain't gonna go over there. But what about when it start affecting the community? If racism isn't right, we know racism still exists. But that's what they want you to do. They want you to stop talking about a problem that is detrimental to this country. I'm sounding racist myself because I'm saying I'm not. We shouldn't stop talking about racism. That's what's wrong with you white people right there. You don't want to face the fact of what your ancestors did. You don't, if I did something and somebody was blaming me, I probably wouldn't want to hear it either. You feel me? But now you are showing your character. You calling me racist when I'm talking about facts. Nothing I'm talking about just coming off the dome. This is all facts, bro. This is facts, but this is what's wrong with white people. No matter how good you come off, oh man, I'm cool with black people. I was gonna say that that's the first thing a racist person said, but I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt, but you calling me racist? You calling me racist, but you want to just stop talking about racism. You want to stop talking about the thing that happened to Dr. Martin Luther King, right? You want to stop talking about the thing that made Dr. Martin Luther King famous. You want to stop talk about Martin Luther King when he got beat up by white people. Huh? What the helly? What the helly? Come on now. It don't matter. See, now this is how I knew you was racist. Now I'm gonna just say it, Bud Russell. See, this is them white people that want to be like, oh, I'm a cool white person, and you know what I'm saying? But then soon as something happens, the first thing you white people get to doing is, oh, you got sold into slavery by your own people. Who profited off of it? Who came up with the creation of creating slaves? Young people. Nigga, you didn't see black people going way across the country or going to other parts of Africa and getting slaves and building no country. This was done by your people. And then when Dr. King went against that, and y'all told him, be Christians, be like us, do this, be peaceful, y'all still whooped his ass. And over here on this podcast, bro, we don't got no favorites. Because if you dig into my content, you will see that I even talk shit about the African countries that was involved in that. See, this is a prime example of why I call Dr. Martin Luther King revolutionary. This is a prime example. Because they want you to get away from the meat and potatoes of what actually happened to this man. Not only did he fight for civil rights, but he ain't get none of the benefits of what he was fighting for. They tell you, oh man, forget about Dr. King fighting against capitalism and all this other shit, government, misuse of government, education and all this. Just remember him for being nonviolent. Forget about him fighting against racism. The shit that still happens to this day. How do you forget about this? Is what the enemies of Dr. Martin Luther King want you to forget. They want you to forget about how racist these people are. They want you to forget about people that buy into this system are passive racists. They want you to do that. It ain't my fault. You said, Bud Russell says, oh, well, you know, racism is learned, it's passed down. Well, I wonder what your family told you about black people selling people into slavery. Obviously, they ain't told you the truth, and you believed it. Everybody knows when a white person says, oh, I got black friends, they racist. I didn't want to put it out there, but you are the people that if you was in power, you would be telling Dr. Martin Luther King, oh, man, you need to stop marching. Stop making it about race. White people have the power, black people have zero. This is what civil rights was built upon. Civil. It ain't my fault your people didn't see us as civil people. And, oh, black people sold us into slavery. I still am proud to be black. I'm still proud to be Nigerian. I'm still proud to be a African American, an African in America. I'm still proud of that. They were wrong for what they did. They had no knowledge of what they had no knowledge to the extent of how people was getting treated in the beginning. That's the same thing with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't understand in its totality how he was being used by the government. Even in today's society, Martin Luther King Jr. is perceived as a non-violent Christian pastor from the South. Not a man that went against capitalism. Not a man that went against white liberalism. Non-violent pastor, a Christian. And you tell me whose fault is that? Mr. Bud Russell? Yes, I read history books. Of course. If you read history books, you would know everything that I'm saying is not a lie. But these are the people that, like Bud Russell, these are the people that get in there and they want you to forget about racism. They want you to forget about how Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was treated in this country. We gotta stop letting people prioritize what Dr. King really stood for. He didn't just stand for nonviolence. He didn't just stand for student integration. We talking about a legacy of a black civil rights leader in America. It's many white, it's some white people, I'm pretty sure, that came up on the wrong end of the stick just because they was white. I'm pretty sure of that. But what we gotta stop doing is letting people dictate what Martin Luther King Jr. stood for. Because he even said that what he stood for, he got duped. He said he seen his dream turn into a nightmare. He was on their side, and they still treated him like dirt. And now what Trump talking about? Oh, we gonna take away Martin Luther King Day. For what? Because if you have to recognize Martin Luther King Jr., you gotta recognize what they did to him. And just like Bud Russell, they want you to forget that. I ain't the one. How am I racist when I'm not the one that attack people off the color of their skin? How am I racist? This is a part of the American history. Racism is American as apple pie. That's good. I'm glad you feel like that. Now that I'm not gonna let you just dictate who who Martin Luther King Jr. is. You mad? That's what's wrong with these people. That's what's wrong with y'all. Y'all think y'all can dictate everything. People's legacy, people's lives, the fucking truth. That's what's wrong with y'all people. Y'all think y'all could dictate what this man actually stood for. You want this man just to be remembered for nonviolence. Why? Why you want this man just to be remembered for nonviolence? Instead of the list of other things that he really went. This man paid for him to be remembered and everything that he went through. This man was locked up, dogs turned on him, water hose beat. This man stood for us. He is owed the right to talk about what actually happened to him. You don't think he's owed that for everything that he went through? Y'all know what it is. Y'all know who it is, man. It's your boy Pharaoh the Guy, always on the job. Welcome to I Got Five. Let's talk. Well, we keep it fair like a California bear. We ain't doing no hating. We ain't no California raisins, man. If you don't like what's going on, you can move right along. You know? I told you over here, it's provocative, man. We keep it real gully truth around here. And y'all gotta watch out for that, man. Like Gandhi. Everybody, oh, Gandhi this, Gandhi that. You know, this nigga Gandhi used to nigga sleep with his nieces in the same bed, nigga, naked and shit. You know Gandhi left his wife so he could go lay in the bed with little kids? You know Gandhi actually didn't like black people? To where the fact that he didn't fight for, oh nigga, let's make a door for all of us. It was a door for whites and it was a door for blacks. And he fought for it to be an Indian door, not integrated. He separated himself from black people. But they don't want to tell you that though. If a motherfucker tell you that, oh man, you being racist. It's the truth. It's what Gandhi fought for. It's what Gandhi stood on. It ain't nigga, I didn't tell Gandhi to do it. Fuck you mean? Nigga, Gandhi and them had a headquarters in South Africa. When he came back and he found out all them black people was, you know, cooling and living it. He said, nah, man, you gotta get them up out of here. They don't want you to tell that about Gandhi, but that's the truth. This is what people want to bury. Why you want to bury the real truth about these people? Because these people wasn't really like that. And when I say something about King being come on now. You mad because your history doesn't prove authentic. You mad because when you look at yourself in the mirror and you think of white man history in America, you can't be proud of it. Me, Dr. King was a revolutionary. He set an example. He showed us a light that nobody else could show us. And this, if you feel like what I'm about to say is racist, then hey, it's racist. No matter what you do for these people, no matter you change to their religion, their ways of life, if you honor everything they say, they still ain't gonna look at you that way, bro. After years of trying to integrate, it still ain't good. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know who it is, man. I got 5 Let's Talk is the platform and the podcast. I'm your host, Pharaoh the God, always on the job, man. Y'all know what it is, man. In retrospect of today's topic, you know, King was a revolutionary, man. It's sad that he had to lose his life for fighting for what he believed in. But I'm pretty sure he was ready for that. I'm pretty sure that he knew it was coming. I'm pretty sure that, you know, I ain't gonna say he was prepared for it, but it was on the table. And that alone, to me, makes him a revolutionary. He was willing to die for this shit. And he did. He did. It's speculation that he's been set up by Jesse Jackson. But that's another story. But when it comes to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he was a revolutionary, man. He was somebody that actually died for what he believed in. You know, he knew what was going on. He didn't die for being nonviolent. He died for something else. Reminds me of Charlie Kirk. the man that led the sheep that woke up, and before he could speak, he was killed. But on another note, man, y'all take care of each other, and if you can't do that,